Good day, everyone. Today we will discuss to you the history of global politics creating an international order. So this will be reported by the Powerpuff Girls and Mojojojo. So what will we discuss to all of you today? So we will discuss the attributes of today's global system, the interstate system, and internationalism. So for the introduction, we all know that the world has many countries with different government. So there are different forms of government: the democracy, communism, socialism, oligarchy, aristocracy, monarchy, theocracy, and colonialism. And as we all know, the Philippines is a democratic country. So we are governed in a democratic way, and the people and the state are given the chance to be heard. Dili lang kay ang gobyerno or ang mga leaders ang naga-lead sa country, but the people are also given the chance to speak for what they conceive as the best for the country. So they are also heard and gina-consider pod kung unsa ang mga opinion nato. So that's what a democratic country is. So some scholars study internal politics while others look at the deals between countries, including the political, military, and other diplomatic engagement. This study is called international relation. So what is international relations? It refers to a field of study and practice focused on understanding the unique relationship that exists between various nations and cultures. So international relations, it is a type of study wherein the scholars are interested on studying the political, military, and other diplomatic engagement between various nations and cultures, just like ang relationship sa Philippines o sa China, ang relationship sa China and Japan, ang relationship sa Philippines and USA. So mao na ang kanang kung unsa ang internal politics or kung unsa ang kanang mga nagapanghitabo between these different state or these different nation nga naay lain-lain nga mga culture. So that is what international relations is. And the next one, internationalization does not equal globalization but is still important. So what is internationalization? So internationalization emphasizes the relationship between and among nations, people, culture, institutions, systems, while globalization stresses the concept of worldwide flow of economy, ideas, and culture. So in internationalization, makahatag example just like ang relationship sa Philippines o sa USA, it cannot be considered as globalization because it only talks about the relationship ani nga nation together with the people, the culture, and the institution between aning duha ka country, which is the Philippines and the USA. It is not considered as globalization kay tungod dili man na generalized nga relationship sa tanan nga nation. So mao na siya internationalization. So we will study internationalization as the relationships of countries today are a result of interaction in as far back as 400 years ago. So internationalization is a one window to view the globalization of politics. So even if this is a contemporary world subject, we will still study about the history kung unsa man ang nagapanghitabo karon. It is a product of what happened many years ago. So mo na siya ang i-discuss today sa mga reporters namo karon. So that's how it is. Thank you so much.
Everyone, my name is Alvin Limosnero. My topic is all about the attributes of today's global system. So Now, let me discuss about the attributes of today's global system. First, may apat na katangian ang global system ngayon. So, first is, there are countries or states that independent and govern themselves. So, ibig sabihin, may mga countries na or government na pinapamahalaan nila ilang sarili. So, hindi ginatawag sila na independent kay walay magbuot sila ha kung unsa ilang buhaton or i-include na laws. Next is number 2, these countries interact with each other through diplomacy. So, ang isang bansa ay nakikipag-communicate or nakipag-kaibigan sa ibang countries through diplomacy, or like sa lain countries maki collab or kana makig diplomacy sila. So number 3 is there are international organizations like United Nations or UN that facilitate this interaction. So ibig sabihin may mga organization tayo na kung saan isang grupo ng isang bansa ay namamahala ng interaction sa bawat nation. So bawat nation may organisasyon na naga-deklara or naga-introduce sa ilahang mga interaction. So, number 4 is beyond simply facilitating meetings between these states. International organizations also take on lives of their own. So, for example, the UN, apart from being a meeting ground for presidents and other heads of state, also has attached specific agencies like the World Organization, like HWO. So, example na siya sa mga UN apart. Next is the International Labor Organization. So, part po na siya sa mga labor na meeting ground. Muna siya ang mga example kanang ILO or International Labor Organization.
So, in this module, there are questions. What do you think is the difference between a nation and state? So, nation, state is composed of two non-intangible terms. It means ang isang nasyon or nation ay may isang katangian na dili pwede ipagpalit sa uban or ipagpalitan kay like barter, bawal, dili siya pwede. Next is the nation is not all states are nation and not all nation are states. So hindi lahat ng estado ay are nation, just like us, and hindi lahat ng bansa ay states. Ibig sabihin, kagaya ng Taiwan, hindi siya pwede matawag na states because under pa rin siya sa pamahala sa China.
Next topic is the interstate system. The origin of the present-day sovereignty can be traced back to the Treaty of Westphalia, a set of agreements to end a 30-year war for Catholicism and Protestantism. So, dati nagkaroon ng away ang duha ka religion, which are the Catholicism and the Protestantism. So, ilang away na abot sila 30 year og inawayay, and para matigil ang ilang away, natin kinatawag na Treaty of Westphalia. Westphalian system provides stability for the nation. So, nag-away man sila for 30 years and nabot ang Treaty of Westphalia, naging stable na, naging okay na sila. They were being civil to each other until niabot po si Napoleon Bonaparte. Si Napoleon Bonaparte, he is a part of a certain country na nasakop ng Italy. And he believed in liberty, equality, and fraternity. Na ibig sabihin na naniniwala siya na lahat tayo ay pantay-pantay, mayaman o mahirap. Sa paniniwala ni Napoleon, magkakapareho pa rin tayo kahit magkakaiba ang estado ng ating buhay. Yun ang kanyang paniniwala. Back then, may tinatawag tayo na monarchy o hari at reyna na namumuno sa isang country. And dahil kay Napoleon, meron tayong tinatawag na Napoleonic Code. Na ang ibig sabihin, you are free to express yourself as an individual. Kung gusto mo magtrabaho, hindi na kailangan na konektado ka sa mga duki o hari, o mga reyna. hindi na ganon yun. So, ang para kay Napoleon, equal tayong lahat. Dapat pinagtatrabahuan natin, pinagsisikapan natin ang ginagawa natin, kaya nagkaroon ng Napoleonic Code. Ibig sabihin, ma-hire ka lang kung qualified ka sa trabaho. So, Napoleon forbade birth privileges, encourage freedom or religion. So, kay Napoleon din, free ka nga mamili kung unsay gusto nimo maging relihiyon. Maging ano ba ka, maging Catholicism ba ka or Protestantism ka ba? You are free, dili na kailangan mag-away-away. And pwede rin ka magtrabaho sa government as long as qualified ka. And but then, si Napoleon, he was defeated by Anglo and Prussian armies at the Battle of Waterloo in 1850. And dahil natalo si Napoleon, gusto ng mga royal na ibalik na magbuhat sila ng new system. But in effect, ibalik yung Westphalian system na naging na walang away-away, but mabalik tong mga monarchs na mga hari at reyna. So diba nabuhat man ang mga royal og new system and the new system nga gitawag og Consort of Europe. The Consort of Europe is a group of nation na nagkaisa para ibalik ang monarchy. And ang mga bansa nga nasakop diri is the United Kingdom, Austria, Russia, and Prussia. Sila ang mga gusto na ibalik ang kaning monarchy, hereditary, katong mga religion practices niyan dati. So, ang author of Consort of Europe si Clemens von Metternich, an Austrian diplomat. Si Clemens von, isa siyang mayaman na Austrian and he became a diplomat. And ang Consort of Europe lasted from 1815 to 1914 bago mag-World War I.
Now let us discuss internationalism. Kasi 'di ba, nadidiscuss na natin since the previous lesson all about internationalism. Because of the Westphalian and Consort system, nagkaroon ng iba't ibang government all over Europe. Meron tayong United Kingdoms, meron tayong Russia, meron tayong Austria, Prussia, and others. Pero itong mga nation na ito, kahit magkahiwalay sila, iba-iba yung government nila, they chose to cooperate. Nagkaisa sila dahil ayaw nila ng gulo. And because of this, na-develop ang tinatawag natin na internationalism. Internationalism is divided into two broad principles. Meron siyang liberal na internationalism at meron siyang socialist na internationalism. Ang author ng liberal internationalism ay si Immanuel Kant. Si Immanuel Kant is a German philosopher. Siya ang una talagang nag-author or nag-isip na dapat meron tayong liberal internationalism. Kasi ang sabi niya, if people living together require a government to prevent lawlessness, shouldn't the same principle be applied to states? Therefore, states like citizens must give up some freedom for continuous growth. Sabi niya, di ba nga ang mga tao na nakatira sa isang community, kailangan nila ng government para walang gulo, yung lawlessness, kasi too much freedom is chaos. Sabihin na lang natin, may freedom kang magnakaw, mamatay ng tao, pwede mo gawin kahit mong gusto kasi walang law. So therefore, we need the law or we need a government para walang gulo. Sabi ni Kant, pwede naman siguro na i-apply natin ang principle na ito between states. Kasi ang mga states or let's say ang mga nations, katulad ng mga bansa ng United Kingdoms, ng Austria, ng Russia, they are like human beings daw na nakatira sa isang community. And katulad ng pagtira sa isang community, dapat mayroong law para hindi magkagulo. Kaya, sabi niya, some of us, ibang-iba sa atin, kailangan i-give up natin ang iba nating freedom para magka, magkaayos tayo at lumaki bilang bansa. Ang British philosopher na si Jeremy Bentham, ina-advocate niya or pinopromote niya ang tinatawag natin na international law. Ibig sabihin, dapat meron tayong law between nations. Sabi niya, kasi nakabase ito sa isang government that takes into consideration the happiness of all nations. Ibig sabihin, kung magtatatag tayo na isang government na mag-govern sa lahat ng bansa, then therefore, it has to be a government na tinitake into consideration ang gusto ng lahat. And many states thought this was a challenge to their powers. Ang dami talagang bansa na, uy, kung kailangan ma-give up kami na some of our freedom at may kailangan kami sundin, hindi pwede kasi dapat may sarili kaming pamamahala, sabi ng ibang bansa. So, ang nangyari, si Giuseppe Mazzini, na isa siyang advocate o nagpo-promote o promotor ng unification of nationalism, he advocated liberal internationalism. Kasi sabi niya, dapat daw ang international na mga countries ay nagkakaisa, pero dapat walang nagagovern na mas mataas kaysa sa iba. Wala tayong kings, walang queens, walang pwedeng hereditary na succession, di pwede na dahil anak niya si ganito-ganito, siya na ang next leader. Sabi niya, wag yun. Dapat it's a system of free nations. Democratic, kumbaga. Ngayon, si Giuseppe Mazzini, nung time na yon, dahil he's very active about liberal nationalism, napahanga niya si President Woodrow Wilson ng United States. Dahil dito, si President Woodrow Wilson ay inisip niya talaga that the prerequisite to internationalism is nationalism. Ibig sabihin, magkaisa muna kayo sa inyong bansa bago tayo pwedeng magkaisa sa ibang bansa. At dahil dito, dahil naniniwala talaga siya sa nationalism, he forwarded the principle of self-determination. Ang ibig sabihin ng self-determination is the world's nation has a right to a free and sovereign government, hoping that these free nations would become democracies and cooperate under an international law. Ibig sabihin, pag sinabi natin na democracy po, ang mga tao po ang magde-decide. That means na tayo as a nation, sabihin na lang natin, dito sa Pilipinas, dapat magkaisa muna tayo as Filipinos bago tayo gumawa ng sinatawag natin na international nationalism. No? Internationalism, ibig sabihin, kung para makakapagkaisa tayo sa ibang bansa, ang gagawin natin, dapat magkaisa rin tayo dito sa Pilipinas kasi parang as one lang tayo na magrepresenta sa Pilipinas internationally. At dahil dito, sabi niya, it should be governed by democracy. Dapat nagkakasundo-sundo and people decide what to do and what to make under the law. At the end of World War I in 1918, pinush talaga ni Woodrow Wilson or ni President Wilson na mag-create ng isang venue for arbitration or ibig sabihin pag-uusap between nations para wala ng war. Kaya nga nanalo siya ng Nobel Prize noong 1919 for it. Pero ang problema, nakagawa nga siya ng tinatawag natin na the League of Nations dahil sa kanyang idea nagawa ang League of Nations pero hindi nasali ang United States of America because the Senate of the United States were strongly opposed to it. Ayaw talaga nila na maging parte. People in United States were not united at that time. Tinawag sila nga na United States pero they were not united as one. Kasi sabi nila, if we are going to have democracy, bakit tayo mag-agree na iisa lang ang susundin natin? People have different views. Kaya hindi nagkaisa ang Amerika at hindi naging membro ng League of Nations. And because of that, the League was not able to stop another war. Dahil ang World War II happened because ang hindi nag-agree sa idea ni Mazzini si Hitler at ang kanyang Germany, si Mussolini at ang Italy, si Hirohito ng Japan at ang bansang Japan. Ayaw talaga nila, they were strongly against internationalism. Ibig sabihin, ayaw nilang pasakop sa iba. They don't want to follow rules that the others have set. So ngayon, kahit hindi napigilan ang war, ang World War, the League was the reason why we have the World Health Organization today and the International Labor Organization. So dahil sa League of Nations, kahit mayroon mang war, naitatag pa rin ang tinatawag dati na World Health Organization. Remember, sila yung nag-declare that COVID-19 was a pandemic at ang International Labor Organization kung saan binabantayan ang labor cost, kung na unfair ba or hindi unfair ang labor sa mga bansang nasa sakop ng UN.
Mazzini, the author of Nationalism, biggest critic was the German socialist philosopher Karl Marx, who was also an internationalist but did not believe in nationalism. So, si Mazzini, mauni siya ang author sa nationalism. Nani siya kritiko who was against his idea of nationalism. So, mauto ang German socialist philosopher na si Karl Marx. So, si Karl Marx, he also believes sa internationalism, pero dili siya nag-agree in nationalism, dili siya nag-agree na aswan tayo. Marx's idea of internationalism is that each nation has different needs and needs to be addressed differently. So, ibig sabihin, ani iyang idea na magkaisang Pilipinas, USA, Taiwan, Australia, at other pang country katulad ng Japan, kaya magkaiba dapat ang pamamahala sa tuwa, dili dapat pag-isahon. Marx and his co-author Friedrich Engels believed that in a socialist revolution seeking to overthrow the state and alter the economy, they were pro-workers. So, sabi sa co-workers ay co-author ni Marx nga si Friedrich Engels, dapat daw wala tay state. Kaya ang state, mauni siya ang nag-alter sa economy. Dili pwede nga sundo nato ang isa lang whole in one state because ang economy lang ang magka-problema or kanang nag-unstable economy tungod sa state. So, ang dapat buhaton nato, dapat pagkaisahon nato ang lahat ng workers. So, si Karl Marx o iyang co-workers nga si Friedrich Engels kay mga pro-workers sila. They oppose nationalism because they believe that it prevents the unification of the world's workers. Ayaw nila sa nationalism, but they believe na kailangan i-unite na to ang tanan workers around the world. Workers sa Pilipinas, workers sa United States, Australia, United Kingdom, Japan, o other pang country na dapat nato pagkaisahon. Marx acquired followers and even after his death in 1883, his followers established their international organization, the Socialist International or SI, whose aim was for the working class to have power through election. So si Marx Karl, he acquired followers na nag-establish na ginatawag natong the Socialist International. So, ang info ani is to have the working class na magkaroon ng power in politics through election. SI was a union of European Socialist and Labor Party established in Paris in 1889. They were the reason that May 1 was declared Labor Day. However, the union did not last long. It collapsed during the World War I when many parties of the union fought each other. So the SI or the Socialist International was established in Paris back in 1889. Dahil sa Socialist International natay Labor Day na nakaset sa May 1 and wala naglast lang lahang grupo because sa World War I. Pero dili ni dahil sa gera kundi dahil sa magkaibang workers from different unions. Kaya wala sila nagkaisa, maong nag-away-away sila for power.
SI was eventually replaced by a more radical group called the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics or USSR. So maong nabulag ang the Socialist International pero eventually napalitan man sad ni sa more radical na group na mas focus na group na ginatawag na Union of Soviet Socialist Republics or USSR. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics or USSR used a more communistic approach in establishing power rather than obtain power through voting. So, ang Union of Soviet Socialist Republics or USSR naani siya different brews compared sa Socialist International. Kay sila Karl Marx tung Socialist International gusto nila manang mabigyan of power ang mga trabahador pero through democracy or by voting. Mantog magkaiba sa USR kay ang USSR magkaka-power man sila not by voting but by assigning one individual as a leader na mag-ingon sa ilaha og unsay mga buhaton sa lain then mosunod sad ang mga member. The leader of the Bolshevik Party and its leader Vladimir Lenin established the Communist International, which was not only radical but also less democratic. So, ang leader sa ilahang party is called Bolshevik Party kay si Vladimir Lenin. Siya ang nag-establish na ginatawag na Communist International. So, the USSR joined the Allied powers in 1941 but many states in the world feared the Comintern, so in order to appease its allies, Joseph Stalin, Lenin's successor, dissolved the Comintern in 1943. So nag-join ang USSR sa Allied powers in 1941 pero daghan og Allied powers katulad ng United States na mahadlok sila because silahang communist approach. So dili ganahan sa communist approach. So therefore si Joseph Stalin na siyang kanang nisunod kay Vladimir Lenin, giwala niya or gidissolve ang Comintern or the Communist International that was in 1943. After the World War II, Stalin reestablished the Comintern as the Communist Information Bureau or Cominform. The Soviet Union took over the countries in Eastern Europe when United States, the Soviet Union, and Great Britain divided the war-torn Europe. Soviet Union collapsed in 1991 and Communist Internationalism started to lose its influence even after establishing in 1951. So, nahuman na ang World War II. So, after ato nakahiwalay-hiwalay na ang mga Allied nation, si Stalin gi-reestablish niya ang Comintern. Dili na Communist Party kundi Communist Information Bureau na siya. Dili siya Cominform kay Comintern na siya. The Soviet Union took over the countries in Eastern Europe. Diba naghati-hati na sila sa war kung unsa na part ang ilahang pamumunuan nung after sa World War II kay nadaog na sila again sa Germany. Ang Soviet Union took over the Eastern Europe na naghatian sila sa United States, the Soviet Union o Great Britain. After the war, liberal internationalism once again rose, and the best example of that is the United Nations as the global governance. So in 1991, nawala na ang Soviet Union and eventually ang Communist International sad wala na sila naka-impluensya after 1951. After na sad sa World War II, nibalik na sad ang liberal internationalism ni Karl Marx or ni Mazzini.
In conclusion, we know the roots of international system. Alam na natin kung saan nagsimula ang tinatawag nating internationalism or international system, which was si Giuseppe Mazzini. Siya ang pinakaunang author ng internationalism at sinundan naman ito ni Karl Marx na naniniwala sa nationalism but not to internationalism. Internationalism is part of globalization. Parte ng globalization ang internationalism katulad ng UN, pero it is not part of globalization, it's just part of it, but not the whole. Kaya tinatawag siya internationalism. And we learn about more of it, especially in United Nations, on the next lesson. Thank you!